There's a belief
amazing
repeated so
segment
often
coming up
it sounds
next
like
that
established
you won't
fact.
want to miss.
People who imagine worst-case scenarios simply can't control their thoughts, and the healthiest response is to make them stop. That belief sounds reasonable on the surface. It's also missing something important. And once you see what's missing, you won't look at this habit the same way again. The truth is that imagining a scenario that never happened isn't a malfunction. It's a very specific mental skill doing exactly what it evolved to do. And treating it as pure dysfunction misses the entire point of why the human brain does this in the first place. If this is already sounding familiar, hit like and subscribe to the channel. And by the end, drop a comment with the most detailed fake scenario your mind has ever built out of nothing. Some of the best answers show up right there in the comments. Most explanations stop at the surface. They call it overthinking, they call it catastrophizing, and they hand out the same advice. Just stop picturing the worst. That advice fails almost everyone who tries it, and there's a reason why. The reason is that this mental habit isn't random noise. Susan Nolan Hoeksema spent years studying what actually separates a mind that spirals from a mind that plans, and her research points to something specific. Two people can picture the exact same disaster in perfect detail, yet walk away in completely different states. One keeps replaying the same failure with no exit in sight. The other builds, scene by scene, a workable response for if that failure ever becomes real. From the outside, both look identical. On the inside, one is wearing the mind down, and the other is preparing it. That single distinction is where the popular belief falls apart. Telling someone to simply stop imagining bad outcomes doesn't teach the mind anything new. It just removes a tool without replacing it with anything better, and the mind, left without that tool, often finds an even less useful way to worry. There's also a deeper layer that explains why this habit feels involuntary in the first place. Roy Baumeister spent much of his career researching why negative information carries more psychological weight than positive information across nearly every population studied. That imbalance isn't a personal flaw. It's a shared setting in the human nervous system, one that kept earlier generations alert to danger long enough to survive it. Think about the last time your mind rehearsed a hard conversation before it happened. You probably pictured the exact words, imagined the other person's reaction, maybe even felt a version of that discomfort in your chest before anything was said out loud. That's the same mechanism at work. Nobody ever taught most people how to aim it on purpose, which is exactly why it sometimes works against the person carrying it instead of for them. Here's the part that changes everything, and it usually comes as a surprise. Martin Seligman spent decades studying why some people recover quickly from setbacks while others stay stuck in them, and the difference he found had almost nothing to do with how often someone imagined a bad outcome. What mattered was whether the person believed they could act if that outcome actually arrived. Imagining the failure isn't the dangerous part. Believing there's nothing you could do about it is. So the popular belief gets it backwards. It treats every imagined disaster as a warning sign, when the real warning sign is something else entirely, hiding inside the same behavior and easy to miss unless you know exactly where to look. But what about the moments when these scenarios take over completely and make it hard to function at all? That line is real, and it matters. Rehearsing a risk and then moving forward is protection. Rehearsing the exact same risk 100 times with no resolution is a mind stuck inside an alarm that should have switched off already. The difference was never about imagining the worst case. It's about whether the mind can find its way back out of it. People who imagine scenarios that never happened aren't failing to trust life, and they aren't weak for doing it. They're running one of the oldest and most useful systems the human mind has, built to keep them from being caught off guard by whatever comes next. Whether that system protects or exhausts someone was never decided by turning it off. It's decided by learning to listen to it long enough to hear the part where it also offers a way through. Tell us in the comments which fake scenario your mind keeps coming back to, and what you'd actually do if it happened. Subscribe to the channel to keep learning the patterns your mind runs without asking permission. Send this video to someone who keeps apologizing for thinking too much. And before you go, leave the video a like.